But I run into folks saying, well, is really even happening now? Is it I've had investors, I've had VCs say, we're not even convinced it's even Internet of Things is even happening yet. And if I haven't convinced you that this is huge, I don't know what else to say. But there is absolutely no question, having lived through 2 internet revolutions, I'm a little bit older than I look. I was hacking on a Unix server using Usenet on a text terminal, the 80s. That was the first internet. And then I watched the graphical overlay, motif pages, HTTP, basically make the internet available to common folks. And then we watched the mobile revolution, which was simply folks saying, I want this stuff on something I hold in my hand. The next revolution is going to be machines start generating their own data and replicating that data, creating more data, and you did not have a human being sitting there doing that. That is going to impact your world significantly. That's all I have to say. Yes?
All well and good, I'm with you. It's going to revolutionize things, but there are security implications.
There are, most certainly. I mentioned
Can you address that a little bit?
I would be happy to.
How are you going to meet that challenge?
Let me tell you what the challenges are, because my company is very much in the middle of that. Let me tell you what you don't do. You don't go to a large multinational company and say, oh, we've got an IoT solution and we handle security for it. Just do not even do that. Don't say, oh, we've got this great little cloud application. Let's come in and control all of your HVAC systems. We're going to optimize it from the cloud, and don't worry, it'll be awesome. Two takeaways from what I just said. One, all of our commercial customers do not want their data in the cloud. So cloud-based IoT platforms are going to have to figure a workaround, because large companies do not want their data where it's shared and vulnerable and out of their control. Two, let me finish my point, because you asked a very good question and it's very close to my heart. You don't, like, just as I say, you don't go and tell them you got security covered. The right statement when you go into an organization, say we're going to connect some things to the internet, is what are your security policies? And how can we enforce them? And if you don't have control over literally every point where data is accessed and shared, then you can't enforce those security policies. So I just revealed a little secret sauce about my company. But you don't do this in the commercial industrial world without saying, what are your security policies? Now, there are security folks in the room. We're not done, because those security policies that these companies have are not the right policies for what's coming. They need to evolve. And we really need industry to come in and say, all right, let's do a full review of what happens when you actually connect something to a backnet server, and there's now an internet connection. How do you need to rejigger your policies so that that server is vulnerable by connecting that data up to an internet connection? So there's no fixed answer. There are more questions than answers, and really we as an industry need to address them.
Michael, you seem to be hitting on being a prophet out there, especially in the Austin area.
I'm generally right.
Yeah, and my
It
question...
usually takes 10 years, but I always get to say I told you so.
Yeah, I was a prophet in another era, in another industry I'll have to tell you about. But it's fun where you have to be out there. What are you finding? Who are the first movers that would say, I get it, I want to do it, I'm putting the money down? Who are the first movers?
It's not the guys that think that they're deploying IoT. They are, but it's not the guys who say, I'm doing an IoT strategy. The first movers are the companies that ask that question. Got all of these legacy systems, I have all this data. How do I get this data up where I can do something with it? Those are the movers. And there are some big companies. We have clients like AT&T, where you have folks within that organization that are asking that question, saying, how do I do this? But I don't think that the first movers are the guys who are saying, well, we're going to adopt IoT.
So
I think that they're already there, they're already doing it, and they're not calling it IoT.
are you finding like the chief tech officer, the CFO, the CEO?
Now I'm finding the facility manager,
The
the
guy-
sustainability officer, those are the people.
The guy at the ground level? Push it up.
That's where I find the most sophistication so far. Yes?
What are some other risks you foresee in incorporating IoT? I mean, especially that too, not just in Austin, but let's say here in Dallas, where we're in the heart of telecom.
What are the
What are
risks?
what are some other risks you foresee besides security?
Well, there's always security. And then there's security. The other risk that IoT industry is doing to themselves is making it still too expensive to do simple things.
Costs?
I've seen companies that have, oh, we have a mobile gateway for $4,000. It's like, I buy a mobile gateway for $200. Right? So you have to make the solution cost effective. Because remember, the second phase of the revolution is adding those new little single points. The hardware has to be cheap, the network connectivity has to be cheap, has to be open standard. And the biggest risk is the guys that are doing that today, it's not open standard. They're locking it into their cloud platform and say, you have to look at the data the way we want you to look at it. You can't access it in an open standard way. That's the risk of what the IoT industry can do to itself. And they're starting to do a pretty good job of it.
So almost they're trying to force the quality of their system/product onto the people who are, let's say, reluctant sometimes.
Well, they come in and say, yeah, we've got a little low-cost solution here, but we're not going to share the data, just like the legacy guys are. Or we're going to make one component of it really expensive. And you have to trust what the internet, the resistance to the internet in the 90s was, well, there goes my business model, so I'm going to be the last to let go. But once it took off, the sheer volumes of business possible made it worth getting rid of the old business model. And so that's essentially, you got to let go of that business model and let this thing take off. Yes?
How many of these companies are like, let's say, more interested in hooking up to wired networks as opposed to wireless networks because of a fear of getting...
I'm just going to editorialize, Zigbee has to die. Let's get rid of all these non-IP protocols. They have too much overhead on them. But to that point, there is openness for wireless protocols. They're going to be low cost, low overhead. You don't add ridiculous network stack onto something. It's supposed to just provide a really simple, I want to put a sensor over there, and I've got a server here, and that's not an issue with industry. The bigger issue is how reliable is that wireless connection in a noisy industrial setting. And I see companies starting to address that pretty well. So it's not about wireless or wired, it's that a lot of the wireless protocols that have been produced continue to try to replace IP rather than say, I'm just going to provide that short connection. And then it's going to get to an internet connection very, very quickly.
Yeah, I think my question's more around the fact that, I disagree that, it's like, it's got to be standard out there
Yeah.
and that. What I'm thinking of is more in terms of, if you, like for example with my house, right? If
Yeah.
it wasn't wired for Cat5 or anything, and I put some Cat5 cabling in there, and I hated doing that.
Yeah.
And then after I'd done that, within a couple of years, all of a sudden it's wireless, and now I'm like, great, I've got all this Cat5 wire
Yeah.
strung everywhere, and I don't actually need
Well,
it.
Wi-Fi is, never bet against Wi-Fi if you're a wireless technology vendor promoting a non-internet based. Wi-Fi is going to be, is pushing. This is what, so I talked with the Qualcomm venture guys about 2 years ago, and they also said, look, everything needs to move to Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is going to be low power, it's going to be capable of doing mesh, and it's going to talk internet protocol. So if you need a wireless protocol that has some sophistication, why not just go to Wi-Fi, right? But single point-to-point sensors, you don't need that overhead. So, and I don't hear commercial customers griping about that as much as the reliability in a noisy environment. And that's really the biggest issue in there. In the consumer space, it's all going to be Wi-Fi. One more question.
Denegi.
You're it.
Okay, so I have 16 subcategories in this. No.
This might be 2 questions.
So you made a statement that, you know, nobody wants to really put the data in the cloud. Everybody wants that. But from an economics perspective and an OpEx and a CapEx perspective, or an initiation perspective, or getting started, or a small SMB business or whatnot, isn't a 3-tiered strategy a good strategy to look at? A cloud-based strategy, a hybrid strategy, and
Yes.
and a premise-based.
And so I didn't say nobody wants their data in the cloud. I said I'm dealing with commercial and industrial customers that are fairly sophisticated. None of them want their data in the cloud. They want it in their servers on where they can control it. But with that said, the cloud plays a role for them too, but not the way that it's
Yeah, then
being
we can go
sold
with private
today.
cloud, right? So where they
Yes.
actually have dedicated infrastructure
Yes.
in a cloud scenario.
That's correct. Yeah. So I'm not putting a
Okay.
dig in the cloud. I'm just saying that all my customers today, none of them, not a
Because cloud,
single one,
cloud
wants
is
their
being
data
somebody
in the
else's
cloud.
computer,
Yeah.
right? So
Exactly.
yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Okay, we're going to have Suresh come up. We're going to do some drawings. So we've put the names in the bucket, so got to be here to win, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I'm going to have Bob come up and help me move tables. If you're on the panel, if you could come up and we'll get